So today is March 24th, 2025. We have been practicing here for already, I think, more than 3 weeks. The retreat is going to be end quite soon. So we have to put more effort in the practice. The other days we were talking about the Sati, to be mindful, to note, to observe the objects so that we can expel the defilements, expel the hindrances. But it is not very easy. The mind, our mind is very, very difficult to know, to see. Very difficult to control our mind. Though we want to put effort in the practice, sometimes we cannot. The mind is very difficult to see what is happening in the mind. Sometimes we cannot see it. So though we are noting the objects, but that noting sometimes just a casual noting, not very effective noting. The mind is very difficult to tame, very difficult to train. It is like a very wild cow. It is very wild cow. In the chariot, the olden days, they use a chariot which is driven by a cow. So if the cow is very wild, very difficult to control that cow, then the cow just goes wherever it wants to go. So sometimes it doesn't go on the correct path. It goes to the other way, other path, and then the wrong path, and then they meet a danger. So same way, our mind is very, very difficult. Though we want to keep this mind on the object, at the beginning, the primary object of rising and falling movement in the abdomen. But it's very difficult. The mind does not stay on that object. It just wanders here and there. It just think about this and that. And it is very happy when it got a chance to wander here and there. It got a chance to think, to imagine. Then the mind is very happy and we feel very comfortable also. We feel very, okay, I'm quite okay. We feel that because the mind is doing whatever it wants to do. So this mind is very, very difficult to control. Therefore, the Buddha said, Dunnikahasa is very difficult to control, difficult to hold on that mind. And also very swift. The mind moves very swiftly. very swiftly. Even in 1 second, the mind can think many things. The mind can travel to many places, even in 1 second, the Buddha said. So it is very sweet, and for that reason also very difficult to see the mind. Because it is very swift, sometimes we don't know where the mind is, what the mind is doing. And this mind lands wherever it likes to land. Means it goes wherever it wants. Yatha kama nipatina. It goes wherever it wants. Therefore, to tame that type of mind is not easy. We need a lot of effort. We have to work on it. But taming that type of mind is very good. If we are able to train that type of mind, then that mind brings happiness to us. That happiness is not an ordinary happiness. It is not a worldly happiness. It brings the happiness of Dhamma. It brings the happiness of freedom. Therefore, taming that type of mind is very good. It brings happiness. And because the mind is very subtle, very difficult to see, and if we cannot control that type of mind, then we are sure to meet various types of dangers. We are sure to have many kinds of sufferings in the life, because if we cannot control the mind easily lands on mostly the unwholesome deeds. Mind hardly does the wholesome deeds if we cannot control this mind. Most of the time, we are thinking about the sensual pleasures. We are enjoying the sensual pleasures. So therefore, this mind is very difficult to control, difficult to train, but if we can train this mind, it brings happiness. It brings happiness in our life. And how can we train this mind? Through this Satipatthana practice. So, as the mind is very difficult to control, it travels here and there, but being mindful, we can train this mind. Therefore, here we are here to do this practice. So, why the mind always travels, and why we cannot keep that mind in the objects arising on that very moment? Because in our life, we let this mind move freely. So the mind is very free and it goes here and there, and especially enjoying all kinds of sensual pleasures day and night. And it is not just for 1 day or 2 days, it is for many, many, many years. And not only in this life, in previous lives also, previous existence also, the mind is always enjoying the sensual pleasures. So the mind is always enjoying those sensual pleasures, and now we try to keep this mind on one object, then this mind struggles. It struggles. It doesn't want to stay in that object. It tries to go here and there. So that type of mind we have to control, and we can control that mind with the practice of Satipatthana, the mindfulness meditation. And we need a mindfulness which is compared to a rope. Means we need to tie this mind with the mindfulness rope, and where to tie in the object of observation. And commentaries give an example that if a cowherd wants to get a milk from cow, what he has to do, because the cow, mother cow, has a calf, son, and the calf, it always drinks milk from her mother. So if a cowherd wants to get milk, then he needs to tie that baby cow in that very strong pillar with rope. And at the beginning, the calf will struggle. He tries to release himself from that pillar to go to the mother cow to drink milk. But because he was tied up very strongly with a strong rope, so he cannot release himself. But he is struggling again and again, moving around and around. So at last, he cannot move anymore, and he just stay on that pillar. So too, because the mind always loves to travel here and there, mind always like to enjoy the sensual pleasures. At the beginning, we try to tie this mind on the objects, mainly the primary object of rising and falling movement in the abdomen. And when other secondary objects becomes more obvious, we try to keep the mind on those secondary objects. But at the beginning, it's very difficult. In one or two notings, the mind already wanders. Many thoughts arise, many imaginations. So, but we try. We try to keep the mind on the object with the help of Sati, mindfulness. So, at the beginning, it's difficult, and it is like the mind, because we try to keep that mind on the object, which is always enjoying the sensual pleasures. The mind struggles to go here and there. The mind tries to go to wander. The mind tries to wander. And again, the mindfulness tries to keep mind on the object, but it struggles again to go out. So later on, when we keep on trying again and again, slowly this mind stays on the object longer. Maybe at the beginning, 3-4 notings, we can note continuously, and after that the mind wander off. Again, we try to keep the mind on the object, maybe 6, 7 notes, the mind wanders. So that way we can, if we keep on trying again and slowly, we will be able to keep this mind on the object for long time. So therefore, in training the mind, the Sati mindfulness is like a rope to tie this mind on object of observation. And if we can continue practice that way, then this mind, because it stays on the object, and mind knows the object. What is that object? It comes to know the nature of the object. At that time, many wholesomeness occurs. There is no chance for the unwholesome mind to occur. Because Sati mindfulness is preventing those unwholesome mental states from occurring. Therefore, this Sati mindfulness is also compared as a gatekeeper, Dowarika. Yeah? If there is a Sati gatekeeper, the unwholesome mental states will not enter. It prevents the unwholesome mental states from entering into the mind. Because Sati is very alert, very active in preventing. And also, the Sati is needed everywhere, every second, everywhere. The Sati mindfulness is needed every second, everywhere. It's not like that, okay, in sitting meditation, I will be mindful, then at a time it should be okay. It is not like that. The Sati is necessary all the time. Because if there is no Sati mindfulness, then the kilesa defilements will enter immediately, because those kilesa defilements are always looking for a chance, waiting for a chance to enter into the mind. So mindfulness is always needed in our life, especially when we are doing this type of satipatthana practice. We always need to have this mindfulness. Every second, every moment. Therefore, it is compared with a salt in the kitchen. When we cook, whatever we cook, we put some salt. Yeah? So in the kitchen, the salt is very essential. Salt is necessary. Whatever we cook, we put salt. Same way in the practice, mindfulness meditation is very important. Mindfulness is very important. We know we need to apply effort. We know we should have concentration. Yeah? Applying effort and having concentration is also essential in the practice. And also knowing the objects, knowing the nature of the objects, that is panya, it is also necessary. But if the effort is too much, that is also not good. If concentration is also too much, that is also not good. And also if the panya, here this panya is not insight knowledge. If the panya is also too much, that is also not good. If any one of them is excess, then something is not in balance and we won't be able to have a progress in the practice. But mindfulness is not like that. If the mindfulness is very strong and very firm, then this mindfulness keeps those effort, concentration, wisdom, and satta, faith and confidence in balance. So sometimes we have a question, how can we have a balance between this concentration and effort? What to do to have a balanced concentration and effort? Because if any one of them exists, then practice will not be very smooth. So what to do? What we need? That we need a strong mindfulness. Strong mindfulness. So how can we have a strong mindfulness? How can we have a strong mindfulness? In each noting, there is mindfulness. Yeah. So this mindfulness, when we say, oh, one mindfulness, it is not strong. Yes, if we divide one mindfulness, then it is very weak. But we need to make it continuous. One mindfulness after another. So when we have this continuous mindfulness, then slowly it becomes very strong. And that type of mindfulness also keeps this effort and concentration in balance. And again here, what we need to have that type of continuous mindfulness, we have to try. We have to try. Therefore, in Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha said, Atapi sampajano satima. Or another way, we need a mental, we need some power, the power of vidya, the power of mindfulness, power of concentration, and power of wisdom, knowledge. Virya, sati, samadhi, and panya. Yeah, virya and atapa. That is effort, the ardent effort. So that type of effort helps to have a strong mindfulness. Means we are putting effort, we are exerting effort all the time to note the objects. Not only one time, yeah, one noting after another. So whatever objects occurring in that moment, we try to note those objects one after another. So for that, we need effort. We have to keep our mind very active and alert. Atapa. Only if the mind is active and alert, then we will be able to observe the objects. Otherwise, we won't be able to observe the objects. Though we know that mindfulness is very important in preventing, which can stop the unwholesome mental states, but we need effort. And satima, then only we will have mindfulness, and this mindfulness must be continuous. One mindfulness must be followed by the another one, and then we develop concentration so that we come to see the objects very distinctly. That means sampajanya. We will be able to see the objects very distinctly. So in order to see the very subtle natures of those physical and mental phenomena, we need those powers, the power of effort, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. And for that, we need to make them sharp, very sharp. Virya, Sati, Samadhi, and Panya. If they are blunt, then we cannot see the things very distinctly, because the mental and physical phenomena occurring within us are very, very subtle. So we need to make those powers very sharp, and for that we need to work on continuously. So here again the matter is sakatsa kiriya. Yeah, sakatsa kari. One should be doing his job respectfully. Sakatsa, respectful observation is very important. So doing job respectfully, again, it means we have to slow down our motion. Slow down our motion so that we will be able to note every small objects. We will be able to note all the objects. Therefore, we should check ourselves how we are working in this Satipatthana practice. Whether we are working this practice very respectfully or not. We have to check ourselves. And if we found, oh, I am not doing my job very respectfully, sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't. If we found like that, then we have to correct ourselves. We have to correct ourselves. And noting respectfully is very, very important. So we will be able to keep our mindfulness very continuous if we work very respectfully. Trying to move very slowly, and not only the physical movements is slow, but the mind, the noting mind, is following all those movements very closely, very carefully. And that is very important. And then satatsa kiriya, working continuously. Yeah, one should be a satatsakari. One should be doing his job continuously. Very continuous working. And also athitakari. One should be working non-stop. Actually, these two, the meaning of these two words are similar. Working continuously. Again, the commentary said athitakari means working non-stop. In Pali, nirantara. Nirantara means there is no gap, no rest, no time for rest. That means working continuously and non-stop. As soon as one wake up in the morning, one should be noting that waking up mind, like a waking up. So from that time till the night, when one fall asleep, one should be working non-stop. There is no time for rest. Only when we fall asleep, that is the time for rest. Other time, in whichever position we are, whether we are sitting or standing or walking or lying down. The noting mind should be observing the objects in the body inside us. So that is also important. Atthita kari, working non-stop, means we should not be like a chameleon. Yeah, chameleon, when it goes from one place to another place, it doesn't go at once. It walks for a while, it goes a bit, and it stops, and looking here and there, then again continue, then again stop, looking here and there. That way, a chameleon does when it goes from one place to another place. So it takes a long time for it to reach to the destination, because it is not walking non-stop. It goes and stop, goes and stop. So we should not be like chameleon. We should walk continuously whenever we are awake and whichever position we are in. That is the atthita kari. One should be working non-stop. Then only the mindfulness gains a momentum. Otherwise, the mindfulness will be weak all the time. And also, there is anolina vutti, means if we are able to work non-stop, then the mind blossoms. The noting mind does not slack. It does not slack. It becomes very active, like it blossoms. So it becomes very active, and it can note whatever the objects occurring at that moment. This happens because of non-stop working. If we don't work non-stop, because it becomes cold after heating up for some time, then we have to start again from zero level. Therefore, anolina vutti, the mind will not slack. It becomes very active and alert because of non-stop working. And when we are able to work on that way, then now we start to experience the benefits of the practice. We get a fruit. Yeah, we start to see the benefits of the practice. And when we see the benefits, then we will have more desire for the practice. If we didn't see the benefits, if we didn't experience anything special in the practice, if we feel no difference, then slowly we lose desire. We lost interest in the practice because we didn't get what we expect. Because at the beginning of the retreat, we expect something from the practice. We all have our own objective in attending this retreat. We all have our own objective But because of working not effectively, not perfectly, when we did not gain that benefit, or that when our goal is not fulfilled, then we don't want to continue practice. But in the other hand, because we are working very continuously, non-stop and respectfully, we gain the benefits, we experience the benefits, we see the difference in the practice, then we will have more desire to continue this practice. So that is also very important, because when we have even more desire to continue practice, we again exert more effort. We put more effort in the practice again. So we become very vigilant, not negligent. We become vigilant. We want to experience more and more dhammas. And then we also try to fulfill our duty of noting, anikita dura. So we do not reduce effort. We will be putting more and more effort. That is anikita dura. We will be trying to fulfill our duty of noting even better than before. Yeah, so we are not we will not reduce the effort. We will making even more effort so that we reach our destination, the final destination. So therefore, those sakatsakari, noting respectfully, and satatsakari, noting continuously, is very important in the practice. And because we are noting in that way, our mindfulness develops stronger and stronger. Then we come to realize what is the mindfulness. We always saying, oh, mindfulness, Sati, we should have mindfulness. We should be mindful. So what is that mindfulness? Then we now experience the nature of mindfulness. Oh, mindfulness is like this. We come to understand. So how we experience? We feel that whatever objects occurring, when we note that objects, we feel our mind is not just on the surface of the object. It seems like the mind penetrates the object. The noting mind sinks into the object. That is the characteristic of mindfulness. Apilapana lakkhana. The mindfulness, the characteristic of mindfulness is not floating on the surface level. Now we experience by ourselves that, oh, my mind is not floating on the object. It seems like sinking inside the object. And also we come to experience, we come to see that the noting mind can note all the objects. We feel like that. Even we miss the object, we immediately notice that, oh, I missed that object. Sometimes we miss the object. We come to realize, oh, I missed the object. Because we are quite good in noting. Mindfulness is getting better and better, stronger and stronger. So we come to experience, we come to see my mindfulness is so good that I can note all the objects We feel like that. We did not lose a sight of the object. Like in playing football, a footballer always keeps his attention on the football. Yeah, always keeps his pay attention on the football, so that he does not lose a sight of football. In the same way, when mindfulness becomes stronger, we does not lose a sight of the object that we are noting. There are so many objects occurring, but we will be able to note the objects. Sometimes even just noting one object, we feel that we are noting many objects because the mindfulness is getting very strong. And when we are able to note that way, we feel that the mind is very secured, because the mind is the mindfulness is protecting the mind from the unwholesome mental states, from the defilements. So we feel very secure. And sometimes we also feel that the mind is directly falls on the object. Means the noting mind and the object, it becomes face to face. The mind is just right on the object. It does not slip away from the object. So we come to experience that. The mindfulness is manifested like that. And we also feel that at the beginning, the mindfulness is not very strong, not very firm, but now it is not like that. Oh, the mindfulness is very strong, very formed, very firm. It just it's like it just stay on the object. It is not the ordinary mindfulness. It becomes the extraordinary mindfulness. And sometimes we experience that the noting mind is just running towards the object. Whenever the object appears, the noting mind rushes to that object. We feel like that. This is because of the mindfulness, because of extraordinary mindfulness. We feel the mind, wherever the object appears, the mind just rushes towards that object. Pakandana in Pali. Pakandana, rushing towards the object with full force. We experience that when our mindfulness becomes very strong. And we feel the noting mind is very swift, very quick in noting the objects. At the beginning of practice, we feel the mind is very slow. The noting mind is very slow because the mindfulness is not strong yet. So we feel noting mind is very slow. There are so many objects, but the mind cannot catch them very quickly. We feel very slow. But when mindfulness becomes very strong, extraordinary, we feel that the mind is very quick, very swift. It just moves very swiftly. It goes very quickly to the object. And also, we feel that the mind grasps the object very firmly. Means it just sinks in that object, penetrating. So we feel like that. At the beginning of the practice, we can observe only the gross type of objects. Yeah, but when the mindfulness becomes stronger and stronger, now we can even note, we can even see the very tiny objects, not only the gross type of object, because the mindfulness is getting sharp. So we can see the very tiny objects. Though the object is very small, very subtle, very tiny, but we can still observe that because of the power of mindfulness. And also, sometimes we feel that when we observe the object, the noting mind covered the whole object. That means at the beginning, though we think that I am noting very carefully, but sometimes we won't be able to see the entire object. We will see the object partially. But when this mindfulness, it becomes stronger and stronger, it becomes extraordinary, we feel that now we can see the entire object. We did not miss any part. We see everything. We come to know everything about that object. We feel like that. Means we can know that object completely. It looks like the noting mind just spreads over that object. So we did not miss any part of the object. It is so clear, and we experience that when our mindfulness becomes stronger in the practice. So, Pakhandana, we feel the noting mind rushes towards the object. That is also because of mindfulness, strong mindfulness. We see the noting mind not slips off from the object. It can grasp the object very firmly. Okantitwa, that is also the power of mindfulness. And we also feel the noting mind covers the whole object, the entire object, not partially, the entire object completely, knowing that object. That is Pattaritva, that is also because of mindfulness. So we have to develop that type of mindfulness in the practice so that we can see the nature of object very distinctly, and our practice becomes a real satipatthana, not just a sati, not just an ordinary mindfulness. We have a very strong extraordinary mindfulness, and that type of extraordinary mindfulness helps to develop knowledge very quickly. So we have to reach that level. And for that, we need to exert effort. That's why the atapa effort is very essential here again. We have to exert effort. We have to note respectfully and continuously, non-stop, so that we will be able to catch the objects occurring at that very moment without any delay. The noting mind becomes very, very, very active, very, very sweet. We come to experience that. So therefore, may you all be able to exert effort non-stop. May you all be able to observe the objects continuously and respectfully so that this extraordinary mindfulness occurs very soon.